Today we are here, all here, on this particular platform to talk about on this World Environment Day. Now, interestingly, World Environment Day was started on 1973. World Environment Day is celebrated on celebrate actually होता है 5 जून को, बट हमको लगा कि 5 जून एक वर्किंग डे में पड़ रहा है, इसलिए हमने सोचा एज एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन वी थॉट कि बिकॉज it is being celebrated as part of Kutaj initiative, which is environmental initiative of AcharyaHazariPrasadDwivediMemorial Trust. एंड टुडे आज जब हम खड़े हुए हैं इस वर्ल्ड एनवायरनमेंट डे पे, जो मुद्दा है, जो फोकस है, वो फोकस एसेंशियली है लैंड पे और डेजर्टिफिकेशन पे, डेजर्ट को वापस कैसे हम लोग उसको मैक्सिमम यूटिलाइज कर सकते हैं, और क्लाइमेट चेंज पे। तो मुद्दा सिर्फ वही बनता है कि हमारा क्या एज एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, एज एन इंडस्ट्री, एज गवर्नमेंट पॉलिसीज इंडिया में हम क्या कर सकते हैं इसको मैक्सिमाइज करने के लिए, इसको पूरी तरह इसका फायदा उठाने के लिए। एंड दैट इज व्हाई वी हैव कम अप विद दिस सेमिनार कि इंडस्ट्री का क्या रोल है, ईएसजी क्या है, व्हाट इज ईएसजी, एंड एनवायरमेंट सस्टेनेबिलिटी गवर्नेंस, जो एक नया बात चल रही है, इसका क्या रोल है एनवायरमेंट सस्टेनेबिलिटी के लिए। क्योंकि आज की डेट में हम सब वी आर ऑल कनेक्टेड थ्रू सम फॉर्म ऑफ इंडस्ट्री इनिशिएटिव, चाहे हम कंज्यूमर्स हैं, चाहे हम वी आर बिजनेस पीपल, स्टूडेंट्स हैं, या फिर हम लोग चाहते हैं, कुछ एस्पिरेंट्स हैं, वी आर एस्पायरिंग टू डू समथिंग. So this is where we thought, let us all get into and understand what ESG is about. So like I said, in this World Environment Day, the theme is land restoration, desertification, and drought resilience. This is what the theme of this Environment Day is. And हुआ क्या, कैसे आया एनवायरमेंट फोकस में? MDGs जो मिलेनियम डेवलपमेंट गोल्स थे, उनमें एनवायरमेंट 8 में से सिर्फ एक मुद्दा था जिसमें हम इस एनवायरमेंट सस्टेनेबिलिटी की बात करते थे। लेकिन आज ये जो 8 मुद्दे हैं, उनमें से अगर आप देखेंगे, जब SDGs बने, सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल्स बने, तो ये 17 सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल में डिवाइड हो गए। Now, it is very interesting to note that even though we say that there are economic, it can further be divided into economic goals, social SDGs, environmental SDGs, but kahin na kahin, in every part of these goals, there is a sustainable element, environmental element. क्योंकि जब आप गोल 11 और 12 भी देखेंगे, सस्टेनेबल सिटीज, क्लीनर सिटीज, बेटर एफिशिएंट, तो क्लाइमेट चेंज से रिलेटेड है। तो एनवायरनमेंट तो है ही है कि भैया हमें सेफ वाटर लेना चाहिए, क्लाइमेट चेंज की बात करनी चाहिए, लाइफ और लैंड, लाइफ और वाटर पे बात करनी चाहिए, मरीन लाइफ। बट अगर हम इंडस्ट्री से रिलेटेड बात, जैसे हम इकोनॉमिक एसडीजीज की भी बात करते हैं, तो हमें फ्यूल एफिशिएंसी, मतलब नॉट जस्ट फ्यूल एफिशिएंट, क्लीनर एनर्जी की भी बात हम कर रहे हैं, सस्टेनेबल सिटीज की बात हम कर रहे हैं। और अगर हमें उनकी बात करनी है, तो आज की डेट में ये मुद्दा, दिस टॉपिक ऑफ हाउ ESG is affecting our industries is very, very important in all our lives. So that is what is very pertinent right now in our discussion, and that is why we wanted to raise this. How we are going to go about this today this is what we are going to I'm kind of sharing with you what is happening. I'll be your moderator and host, followed by Dr. Aparna Dwivedi's a very brief about the trust, AcharyaHazariPrasadDwivediMemorial Trust. There is a panelist presentation which will be shared by Dr. B.C. Sabata, Dr. S.M. Jagdish, and Mr. Piyush Ahuja. After which, Dr. Dwivedi shared in the beginning, that there'll be an open round discussion. So whenever you have questions about the discussion, please put them in the chat box, and we'll definitely be taking them up after the discussion, so that, because I do not want you to park that, you just keep them away. Just put them immediately as you think of them, so that people will have answers to them as and when, even our panelists are aware of them, and they can, take them up. And finally, after the question answers round, we'll have a closing remark, but nothing happens without a call to action. So we will have some call to action after this. So let's see how we proceed. Let's discuss this. Before, I'll give a very brief introduction. We'll be having a longer one out when we start with the introductions, with the panelist speech. We have Dr. Sabata, who will be speaking on current environmental challenges and ESG. He'll be introducing what the current environmental challenges are. He's an expert in environmental strategy and policy formulation. He'll be speaking on, like I said, current environmental challenges, which will be followed by Dr. S.M. Jagdish, who is the managing director of Zero Defects Consultant and an expert in ISO and business framework. He'll be speaking on framework of ESG and industry impact. Mr. Piyush Ahuja will be speaking on role of HR and ESG. What we have tried to do in our session today is have a sort of a bigger macro to micro approach, where we say, okay, what is the total impact which we are trying to create, and how can HR as a department, individual can as a department impact the implementation of ESG. क्या कर सकता है एक individual और एक department to impact कि ये environment में हम लोग बहुत अच्छे से काम करें. So this is how we are going to go about it. My name is Nupuri Pandey. I'm the founder director of Facilitating Excellence Consultancy, and I'll be moderating this session. I'm joined here by Dr. Aparna Dwivedi, who is the president of AcharyaHazariPrasadDwivediMemorial Trust, जिनका कुटज ये इनिशिएटिव है, जो ये पूरा सेशन ऑर्गेनाइज करा रहा है. I am very grateful to that. So this is definitely, and now I will invite Dr. Aparna Dwivedi to introduce something about the trust, talk about the trust, and say what the trust is all about.
Namaste. As Nupu told you guys, I'm Aparna Dwivedi. I'm the president of AcharyaHazariPrasadDwivediMemorial Trust. And I am more comfortable in Hindi, so I'll start in Hindi. आचार्य हजारी प्रसाद द्विवेदी मेमोरियल ट्रस्ट हिंदी के प्रख्यात साहित्यकार आचार्य हजारी प्रसाद द्विवेदी के नाम पर बना है, और उन्होंने अपने 72 साल के जीवन में करीब 40 से ज्यादा किताबें लिखी हैं और अनगिनत निबंध लिखे हैं. जो भाषाएं वो जानते थे वो हिंदी थी, अंग्रेजी थी, बंगला, उर्दू, प्राकृत, अपभ्रंश, भोजपुरी, मैथिल और अन्य भाषाएं जिसके बारे में थोड़ा थोड़ा हम जान रहे हैं. उन्होंने अपने तमाम तरह के विषय लेके और उन्हीं विषयों पर हम लोगों ने अपने ट्रस्ट का पूरा आधार रखा है. जिन विषयों पर उन्होंने लिखा वो थे कला और साहित्य, संस्कृति, भाषा, शिक्षा, पर्यावरण और उन्होंने पर्यावरण, तब जब हम लोगों ने पर्यावरण के बारे में सोचा तो हमने सोचा कि हम उन्हीं के लेखनी के ऊपर हम एक ऐसा पहल क्रिएट करेंगे, बनाएंगे जो कि उनके विचारों को भी जतलाए और साथ ही पर्यावरण से उपजी जो समस्याएं हैं वो भी दिखाए. इंट्रोडक्शन. तो पर्यावरण से जुड़ी जो चीजें उन्होंने बताई थी करीब 50-75 साल पहले, यानी 50-75 ईयर्स अगो, जो उन्होंने चीजें लिखी थी, आज हम उन्हीं चीजों को झेल रहे हैं. उस समय उन्होंने उस वार्निंग दी थी, चेतावनी दी थी और लिखा था कि अगर आपने इन सारी चीजों पर अभी से विचार नहीं किया तो आने वाले जीवन में बहुत समस्या आएंगी. आज की तारीख में हम छोटी छोटी चीजें जैसे बहुत तेज गर्मी, पानी की कमी, मिट्टी आपका जो एकदम है भुरभुरा होना, कंक्रीट जंगल जिसको हम बना रहे हैं, वहां से लेकर ब्रह्मांड में हो रही चीजों के बारे में उन्होंने लिखा था। और हम कुटच में, कुटच जो है वो, कुटच उन्हीं के एक निबंध के का नाम है। और हम कुटच द्वारा उन्हीं के जितने मुद्दे थे और आज के जितने पर्यावरण के मुद्दे हैं, हम उनको उठाना चाह रहे हैं, लोगों को जागरूक करना चाह रहे हैं और लोगों को चेतावनी देना चाह रहे हैं। और इसके लिए हम आप सबका सहयोग चाहते हैं, सरकार से चाहते हैं, जितनी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है उनसे चाहते हैं। और हमारा जो ये प्रयास है, ये कोशिश है कि आज अगर हम लोग अपने लेवल पे थोड़ा भी कुछ कर सके, तो कम से कम हमारी आने वाली पीढ़ियों को कुछ तो फायदा मिल जाएगा। थैंक यू।
थैंक यू सो मच डॉक्टर द्विवेदी। इट इज हमारा एक प्रयास डेफिनेटली डेफिनेटली है कि हम आगे इसको लेकर जाएं। I would now request Dr. Sabata to share his speech. अब हम अपना पैनलिस्ट स्पीच शुरू करेंगे. We are at 11:10 AM and हम अब डॉक्टर सबाटा से रिक्वेस्ट करेंगे. मैं डॉक्टर सबाटा के बारे में एक कुछ बताना चाहूंगी. Dr. Sabata is a distinguished environmental scientist and an educator with a career spanning over 3 decades. He has held various pivotal roles in academic and research and significant contributions to environmental policy, education, and awareness. Dr. Sabata served as director at Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Combating Climate Change at Delhi from August 2017 to March 2019, where he led efforts to disseminate climate change knowledge to diverse stakeholders. इससे पहले वो एक सीनियर साइंटिफिक ऑफिसर भी थे डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ एनवायरनमेंट, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ एनसीटी में, जहां पे वो मैनेज करते थे ब्रॉड एनवायरमेंटल इश्यूज, जिसमें वो स्कूल्स के साथ इको क्लब भी इम्प्लीमेंट करने में बच्चों के साथ बहुत उनका बड़ा रोल था. और उन्होंने अपने एकेडमिक करियर में डिफरेंट पोजीशंस इन एज लेक्चर ऑफ बॉटनी भी मैनेज की हुई है, टीचिंग और रिसर्च में. और उनके वर्क को कॉम्प्लीमेंट, हिज वर्क हैज बीन कॉम्प्लीमेंटेड बाय वेरियस पब्लिकेशन, ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम्स एंड इंटरनेशनल एंगेजमेंट्स, reflecting his deep commitment to environmental science and education. His efforts have been recognized with prestigious awards, including UNESCO Young Scientist Visiting Award and Biotechnology National Associateship Awards. We welcome Sabata ji. Dr. Sabata, आप प्लीज अपने वो शेयर करिए. मैं अपना शेयरिंग स्टॉप कर रही हूँ. I would request you to please, and I'm highlighting you. Dr. Sabata, over to you.
Thank you, Nupur ji or Aparna ji, that you have initiated a very nice thing. Let me congratulate all of you on the occasion of World Environment Day. And you know, this is a very big event for the environmentalists throughout the world. And I hope you have taken a very nice subject, that is ESG, which many people does not know about this. But as an environmentalist, we focus on the environmental issues, as you told. I think very nicely you have narrated NDG to SDG and other things. So that was that brief idea about the environment issues. But if you see the today's scenario, as everybody, as Aparna told, ज़्यादा गर्मी, चिचिटाहट, मिट्टी का प्रॉब्लम, ये बड़ा अच्छे अपर्णा जी बहुत बढ़िया करते हैं. ये सब चीज हमने मिलकर काम किए हैं. एंड शी इज वेरी एक्टिव in editing one of our journal from Delhi government, and we initiate the small things. Actually, you know, now people work to tell about the very big thing, but we forget small things. We small things, what I say is planting a tree. I think there are big things are happening. We talk about climate change, we talk about very big greenhouse gases, but we forget to do something active. Like we say the life, like Honorable Prime Minister said, life. Actually, what you do in your life, that is very important for the environment. And coming to the big issues of environment, the challenges as we propose in our speech, that the environment is a very big subject, and you know what air pollution, water pollution, solid waste management, e-waste, lot of things have been created. Earlier, environment means only पानी and हवा. आजकल पूरे कोई चीज ऐसा लीजिए जो आपको पूरे 10-12 चीज जो हमारा एक हमने active environment problems, what we say, like your air pollution, water pollution, your waste management, e-waste management, battery management, and solid waste management. आपका एक demolition waste management भी आजकल एक आया हुआ है. So there are a lot of things, challenges in environment issues, like everybody knows, and there is a lot of things are happening. Like you see now, the solar is coming. Where to dump the solar wasted solar waste? So I think waste management is a big issue, and many people talk about the very environmental things. Environmental things means I think पानी, हवा, जल जो है हमारा पास है, अब जो हमारा परिपार्श्विक है, वो wherever we live, हमारा जो अगर हमें चीज को देखना है, हमारे जीने के लिए जो जो चीज जरूरी है वो हमारा परिपार्श्विक है. और एनवायरमेंट इश्यूज सच ए थिंग इट रिलेट टू एवरीबॉडी. ये नहीं है कोई दूसरे को इफेक्ट करेगा, कोई किसी पास से चला जाएगा तो दूसरे कंट्री को चला जाएगा, ये नहीं है. इट इफेक्ट्स एवरीबॉडी. So environment challenges are big now. The aviation sector also there is a big challenge from the climate change. What people say, and glaciers are melting. The whole the water is the scarcity of water. Everybody, and you see the last 1 week we are hearing a very big water scarcity in Delhi. Earlier last month we had about water problem in Bangalore and Mumbai. I think this is a very big issue, and the major issue when it comes to environment is created. It is not that something it directly happened, but all things have been created. Earlier, when we talk about the environmental studies, in 80s, 70s, 80s, our professor used to say, you people will take a water bottle and a oxygen bottle. We used to laugh at that time, because that time we used to get the water from tap, even in the तालाब, pond, कहीं पे भी जाते हम पानी पी लेते थे, ऐसे कोई पानी का प्रॉब्लम नहीं था. लेकिन आज एकदम सही चीज है. और जो नूपुर जी बता रहे थे फुटेज के बारे में, 50 years back उन्होंने ये चीज बताया. मीन्स you see how dangerous thing has been predicted by our elders. So these are all happening, and I think the challenges are more. But what is the role of ESG? This is a very major today's topic. Challenges are everybody knows, problems are everybody knows, and how this ESG is emerged. Earlier there is a term, the CSR. CSR means whatever the things people do, I think do something for the environment. I was in Delhi government in the Delhi Pollution Control Committee also with us, and we usually issue the EC to the companies. And if you see the criteria or the pro forma, what they have to fill up, it's a very big thing. They have to do 10% greening, they have to do this much, they have to do this, they have to make a air pollution strategy, they have to do the water pollution strategy, everything happened. And once the EC has been cleared, I think nobody is going to check that. So there has been a lot of things has been come up by the government, like the ESG, the environment, social and governance. The environment things means whatever environment you are putting the challenge. Suppose you are industry. You start doing your production and you will get some air pollution affected. How you manage your air pollution, how you manage your water pollution, how you manage your other waste management. I think these are the environment issues are related to the company. Anything?
I would request everyone to go on mute, please.
Okay.
You, Rajiv.
So the environment issues is that all type of environment they have to take care. That is the environment part of the ESG. And the social part is how they can take care of the public, like there is industry, people are working there, how to take their health issues. Because environment, if your environment is damaged, I think it affects the health. So that is the social issue and how they can put up the social challenges. Very, very big industries might be seeing displacement is there, health issues are there, air pollution is like this, बिजली का प्रोडक्शन जहाँ हो रहा है, अब देखिए बहुत सारे जगह पे, और जहाँ पे इंडस्ट्रियल बेल्ट है, कोल माइंस है, वहाँ पे किस तरह का एनवायरनमेंट का खतरा है और उनका सोशल हमने किसी तरह का लोगों का ध्यान रखना है. दैट इज द सोशल इशू. एंड गवर्निंग इशू, द गवर्निंग पार्ट इज हाउ द industry is doing that. So they have to now put up a massive report, the ESG report every year, putting all these financial and environmental issues. Earlier, what happened, they only do the environment part, but the ESG is included, including the financial part also, that they are doing on this. And there are big reports are coming up. Previously, it was known as the sustainability report. like the cement factories. All these are mandatory for the industries to have their sustainability report as well as the ESG report. So the ESG is that part, but what we see in the practically field, when I used to visit the industries, I think these are the only uh, record part, that whatever they have put up that we will do this, that this, I think that was been recorded, but in field, I think nothing has been there. So that is the unfortunate part. And the policies also now they are seeing urbanization is there, multi-story buildings are there, ponds, nowhere now ponds are there, no rejuvenation of the ponds are there, rivers are now also drowning. So all these things is happening. Actually, that what we should do in the practical, that is not happening, and that was the challenge. The 52, 53 degree now because 100 years old record has been now broken in Delhi and many parts. I am from basically Odisha. Here also so much of earlier, so much of heat wave was not there. But now it is very difficult to even survive in cities because there is no plants at all. Earlier, people used to say the thatched houses, plants surrounding, water surrounding. I think that was the big thing, big relief on the environmental issues. All these things have changed. Many things have been happening. It's welcome step, but we have to take our environment. Nupur rightly said, what we can do ourselves. Now things have been whatever happens, but how can we involve? That's why we have started a program in Delhi government, the Eco Club program. 2,000 schools and colleges have been involved. All the children, all the schools, we told them to do, make your school, your campus, zero campus, make your school water sufficient. You should start a plant nursery at your school level so that people should know, the students should know. So I think these are the things that have been taken by the government also. It is not a problem, but the problem is we are not achieving the success at the SDGs 21 goal. How much we actually achieve that goal? That only thing to that, and everybody's role is there. I hope this type of activities must be reoriented with all the public, all the people who are in workplace. I think many, when I was there in Delhi government, we used to go to the PSUs and the big multinational companies to just tell them to environment awareness, and they say we don't know about all these things. I think not only to planting a tree, something we sometimes know, but we never involved in this type of environmental activity. I think all companies should take care of all these things, and everybody is responsible in that. It is not that somebody will do for us. We should not see that. All government level, international level, big things are happening, and only problem is practical thing and ground level. Like the life, I told example, the government is making a lot of activities on the life, but there are many activities also they have selected. They put up in website asking people to do that one, but how far it is achieved, I think that was the thing. And I hope this type of program and Dr. Aparna, Nupur, what they've started, maybe some people can change and do something. And moreover, the eco-friendly life. I think we should also, how much electricity we use, how much water you should use, how my waste is segregated, whether I can manage or not. I think that also particularly we should do ourselves, and we should have a carbon footprinting of ourselves. That how much I responsible for the environment. I think if everybody will be responsible for the environmental thing, and hopefully the companies, the government officials, the other institutions, particularly in the public institutions. So I think these things has to be put up to them so that they can make their footprint, how much carbon footprint you are there. And our traditional method, I think that is the major issue we forgotten now. Now nowhere in the thatched house, I am in my small village, when there were 100% thatched houses there, I think 100% is concrete tiles. I think these are some of the only the thatched houses are put up in Delhi, somewhere in our fair, Delhi Hard. I think it is only a showcase now. How much bars are there? Earlier, a lot of bars are coming to our place. We started a program in Delhi, save the जो हमारा घर चटिया के में उनके लिए बहुत सारे काम हमने किए दिल्ली में कैसे आ जाए वापस. I think these are small activities everybody should take care of. And thanks Nupur for inviting me. Hopefully we will join some other discussions after the lecture number. Thank you very much.
थैंक यू सो मच सर. आई थिंक मतलब इतना कुछ सीखने को मिला, इतने क्रिस्प आपके सेशन से कि मैं अभी तक ना मैं नोट्स ले रही थी जब आप बोल रहे थे, और मैं नोट्स ले रही थी कि क्या हमारे पास पहले सस्टेनेबिलिटी रिपोर्ट थी, एंड नाउ वेयर आर द चैलेंजेस दैट वी आर फेसिंग, एंड आई रियलाइज देयर आर सो मेनी क्वेश्चंस दैट आई वांट टू आस्क इवन राइट नाउ, बट क्योंकि मैंने सबको बोला हुआ था कि नहीं हम एकदम एंड में क्वेश्चन पूछेंगे, तो मैं अभी नहीं पूछूंगी क्वेश्चंस. आई डू हैव अ लॉट ऑफ क्वेश्चंस दैट आई विल आस्क. But I would now like to invite Dr. S.M. Jagdish thank you so much, sir, for a very, very insightful discussion. And I would now like to invite Dr. Jagdish, who will be speaking about framework of ESG, and a very brief about Dr. Jagdish. I've known him for about 3-4 years now. He is an expert, like I said, in 30 years of experience in quality management and business scale up. He holds a BE in mechanical engineering and an MBA in marketing and doctorate in total quality management, and leads an lead auditor for various ISO standards. As a Six Sigma Black Belt, a lean manufacturing expert, and ILO score trainer in Karnataka, Dr. Jagdish specializes in process improvement techniques like performance management, 5S value stream mapping, and Kaizans. His career spans small-scale industry, medium-scale industries, and multinational companies. He heads Zero Defects Consulting, a leading consulting training firm in India known for award-winning services in ISO standards implementation, technical and HR skills training, process improvements, and industrial automations. He is recognized for his contribution to the Lean Manufacturing Competitive Scheme, LMCS, by Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, MSME, and he has received numerous accolades, including Bharat Jyoti Award and the Atal Bihari Vajpayee Award. Welcome, Dr. Jagdish, for this wonderful session. Over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Nupurji, and thank you, Aparna ji, for giving me this opportunity to share on the framework of ESG and how it can have an impact on each one of us. I would like to briefly also continue with what Dr. Sabata was talking about, the environment, which is today become critical for us to manage that. But along with that, people element is there, where the social gaps that is existing is also equally important, as well as for ensuring the sustainability. There's a need for us to have a kind of governing process and systems across the organization. That's how the ESG basically leads to sustainability. Sustainability by focusing on this environment, social and governance. If I have to talk about environment, what Dr. Sabata was talking about, it will now answer a question: how will our business adapt to climate change? How ready we are, or are we? Now, this is what is getting answered there. But whereas in social element, we are looking at, do we protect workers or human rights? Do we pay fairly? This is another very important question which we need to answer. And do we run our businesses effectively? That is what Dr. Sabata was more and more emphasizing, practical, real ground now. How much implementation is happening? See, reports are one aspect, other side is the implementation. That is where the governing structures also play a very important role. Now, all the three leads to this ESG, and the challenges why there's a need for this also different. See, that in the environmental parameter, I think Dr. Sabata talked about climate change, carbon emission, water pollution, air pollution, deforestation, waste management, water scarcity. All this was discussed there. In social element, the focus will be on customer satisfaction, data protection, data privacy, gender and diversity, employee engagement, community relation, human right, labor standard. All these are the day-to-day challenges what we have today. We may be hearing across the newspaper the kind of disparity in genders, the challenges in data management, data privacy, data protection, people losing money, use of technology. If data protection or privacy is not emphasized, we land up in the different business challenge as well as personal challenges. In governance part of it, it's we have today the bribery and corruption, which is a bigger problem there. and then forming the different committees, probably which are all biased. That's again lobbying. You can see political contribution. Whistleblower schemes are now getting reduced, where somebody raises an alarm or an alert. That's very important. So we need to now look at a holistic approach for sustainability. Just focusing on only environment or social or only governance it will not head us anywhere. That is where a lot of internal, external stakeholders are now involved in basically ensuring sustainability. So in short, if I have to put it in a very simple way, we need to focus on environment, that is our planet, so that it's viable for us to stay. And people, very important, so that they're variable and equitable, and that leading to profits. Okay, but just not profit should not be the focus area. What is the focus area is conjunction of all these three, which is sustainability. This is a kind of accounting what we look at. Looking at these three P's, that is profit, people, and planet, along with our environment will lead to sustainability. Okay, now sustainability, when we are focusing on, it is that we are talking about governance addition plus this environment and the social factors, which will lead to sustainability. And as well, I think Nupurji was talking about SDGs, that is Sustainable Development Goals. There are different goals that have been set up, and these are the 17 goals, where I've just tried to give a matrix on which each of these sustainable development goals, where does it focus on, whether it's on environment, whether it is on social, or whether it's on governance. And some of them, all the three. Okay, like for example, you can see here industry innovation, which is very critical. All three are equally important. Whereas for decent work and economic growth, social and governance is very important. For affordable clean energy, environment is the focus area. Whether water sanitation, environment is the focus area. Similarly, life and land is an environment. Life below water is an environment. Like climate action could be both on governance as well as environment. So now there are SDGs, 17 SDGs, which are focused on in this ESG. Keeping this in mind, we also measure this. And here, if you look at US ranks 39 with the score of 75.91, and India ranks 112 with the score of 63.45. Okay, and you can see here there is also a dashboard available in website. Niti Aayog website has got this data released in 2020-21. Okay, where even in India particularly, which states are the best. You can see here Kerala 75 to Karnataka 72. Whereas the worst states in terms of SDGs, you can see here from till Bihar. Okay, Rajasthan. You can see here the bottom. This is shared in the website, okay, which I've given over here, Niti Aayog website, which you can also refer later. However, it's important now that we having this. It's important for us to take this forward in a bigger way. Why? Because we can see the negative scenarios, which already Dr. Sabata and the initial discussion, what we were saying. We were all talking about risk factors that are existing, and there's a lot of the information which are also in the newspaper on a daily basis on the environmental challenges that are there around us and happening across the world globally. So there the focus is on all the five important stakeholders. One is the investors, regulators, customers, employees, and as well as partners and suppliers. All of them, have different expectations from all of this activity, and then all of them are interested to ensure that we all focus on all the three: environment, social, and governance informations. Okay, and these are certain information which I am trying to share, which are all released in the Times of India, the Guardian, or different. Please go ahead, sir. Yeah, the importance of this SDGs, I would like to share technically. If you look at an environment point of view, there are in Times of India, we were talking about 4 companies operating in Maul, Mumbai, including oil marketing companies. We had to pay fees of around 286 crores for increasing air pollution. Okay. And if you see a social media giant, in social costs, had to record 5 billion penalty, okay, for deceiving users about their ability to keep their personal information private. So if you really look at, there are just not in terms of what impact on us, but then as a business, there is a huge penalties that have been put on industries because of loss of this ESG aspects in the real business. So it's now whenever any organization which lands up in paying this $5 billion penalty, etc., then existence of that question, that organization itself will be on stake. To that level, the subject has become so critical and important today, where we are seeing day by day, there are different datas indicates the worst situation that have where there's no other choice we have got. We need to focus on this. Similarly, the investment philosophy is also changing today. The olden days, what is traditionally investment means, what is to happen is this analysis based on financial parameters and focus on profit. That was only there. Where today, we look at sustainable investing, where we focus on financial parameters plus also on ESG. Okay, leading to a sustainable business model. We are looking at a sustainable business model for investments that has to be done by any kind of VCs. So to that extent, the subject has become important. And in manufacturing industries, they are the places where I think the major contributors, that is where the focus today is on manufacturing industries and across product life cycle, whether it's in terms of new product development or introduction, growth stage, whether maturity stage or decline or abandonment stage. In all of these stages, it's important for us to focus on ESG. So that is where life cycle assessment has become very important, where we look at assessing the human aspects, energy, materials, wastages across the stage. That is from life cycle, from cradle to grave stage. It means from inception of ideas or design to the grave, when I tell it is disposal. Across all the stages, there's a need for us to focus on this environment, social and governance factors. And it's also called as cradle to grave. Okay, where we are talking about cradle is like raw material extraction to waste disposal. And in every step, whether it is raw material extraction from nature or manufacturing, processing, transportation, usage, and also after that, after use, the waste disposal. Across all stages, there's a need for us to focus on ESG and the ESG and in the environment, especially in manufacturing. We always look at in each stage of business cycle or a manufacturing cycle, we are looking at how the materials are obtained or how it's converted or how the conversion from one form to another happens. Are we focusing on ESG till the waste disposal? So that is how it has become critical. Take an example just to give a look. Consider a mobile which all of us are using, and from the material used, production, distribution, usage, and disposal. And if disposals, I think, if you look at mobile phone disposals, how effective it is, all of us know. And that is where some of the organizations, they used to tell, if you give back the old mobile, they'll plant a tree. That focus was on to bring down and see how we can comply to the ESG requirements as well. So it's important for us to get, in all manufacturing industries, this has become an essential point of discussion. And for that, this 6R principles is used. One is principles are used. One is rethink what products, rethink the product and functions, repair the product so that it's easy for repair, replace whether hazardous substances, harmful substances can be reused or used with the safer alternatives, reuse wherever possible so that many parts can be reused and that much of wastages can be minimized. Reduce is another, and recycle. These are the six philosophies that we can always use, and then see how we can make our manufacturing more ESG friendly. And then when we are looking at this, as I told you, the profitability, every organization wants that. But it's important to focus on the ESG across all the stages, whether it's plant and machinery, operational activities, supply chain, products and customers, government and regulatories, as well as management activity. In all of these activities, it's important for us just not look at profitability, but then also focus on environment, social, and governance factors. That is how we can have when this long-term philosophy is used, it improves productivity, also improves the positive outcome. And that's how the companies can make a lot of money also. And definitely organizations or manufacturing industry per se, why there's a need is, as we have already discussed till now, the gaps that exist, whether it is air pollution, deforestation, water contamination, climate change, all these are the gaps with respect to environment. Similarly, increasing labor strikes, sexual harassments, affordable housing schemes, data privacy, all that the impact of the because of the social. And similarly, government, the governance also, whistleblower complaints or money laundering and corruptions, rise in financial frauds. Okay, that then resignations of independent directors or increasing regulatory issues are all leading to the need for us to focus on ESG. And then when we are setting or when we are looking at this ESG integrated approach, where there's also ratings that are being given, where every company will be rated on this. Like I was sharing you some of the frameworks that exist, and for all of these ratings as well. There is a GRI, there's a VRF, there's also standards, SASB, then carbon disclosure projects are there. There are different SDGs, which we talked about, sustainable development goals. There are different frameworks, which again, it's a complex in nature to discuss now here. But however, what I want to only talk about is if you try to build in a right system, right process, and wherever there's a need, especially in the manufacturing industries, the all large organizations today have adopted these aspects and brought in a significant changes. Actually, as per the declared results, there's a lot of focus on minimizing the deforestations as well as trying to bring in employability through that aspect. So what actions can be taken now to start off with is look at developing ESG risk registers. Then we need to look at physical risk modeling there, as well as prepare resilience and action plans. Look at building a right simple framework within our organizations. Transitions, risk modeling, where we can look into reviewing our portfolios, current business activities, supply chain activities, and ensure that no carbon economic scenarios are existing. And we evaluate how we may have an impact on current and future business models. So that's where we can look at changing our models and put in the right measures, that is KPIs, key performance index, and report those things to especially to the government and your customers. So by doing all of these aspects, I'm sure as a business point of view, as a manufacturing point of view, there's a top line growth, but along with this, there's a cost reduction, because minimizing pollution means reducing waste. Reducing waste means reduced inputs, which leads to cost reduction. Similarly, there's a reduced regulatory risk today, and definitely employee also will be happy. Employee productivity, there's an uplift, and then now the need for an R is the investment and asset optimization, that also can improve. So a lot of capitals can be brought in by focusing on ESG, and we have seen with data, in across the globe, where whoever is ESG compliance, they're investing also. As brought in, they're investor friendly organizations. So that's how it has a benefit. Similarly, as an organization, they have their own benefits, where we not look at higher returns because of reduced wastages. Similarly, negative impact on society and environment gets reduced, leading to the community building across the area. They will be happy and they'll always support the organizations which they are running. So overall benefit, we'll have look at energy efficiencies are good. Renewable energy can be focused. Sustainable transportations could be there. And then green buildings can come up. Energy management systems could be much more environment friendly, and waste and water efficiencies also can be improved. So overall, the net effect of all of this could be a reduction in greenhouse gases that exist, and we can develop the respective management systems as well. So overall, if I have to give a few inputs, ESG matters and it will be there. And second, very important that we are modeling climate risks takes time and expertise are required for that. So probably we cannot really work on climate changes, but we can always work on doing small things. What is what we can do from ourselves, as well as just look at ESG is not just only about environment. We also look at people element, which our next speaker, Mr. Piyush, is going to talk about. And so ESG is an opportunity as much as a risk. So let's all focus on embracing ESG in our industry as well as in our day-to-day life. That's how we can definitely contribute, in ensuring that we all play our role in, ensuring environment is friendly, as well as it's a good place for us to live in. This is what I wanted to share. Thank you for the opportunity. Over to Nupurji.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jagdish. I mean, I can see from the comments right now, people are enamored with the kind of information that you've shared. It is something that we all require, and we all, and जैसे मैं अक्सर बात करती हूँ, awareness बेस से शुरू होता है कि जब तक अवेयरनेस ही नहीं होगी, we will not be able to achieve. And what you have provided for us is the awareness about the input. You started from a very macro governance perspective कि क्या पूरे विश्व में इंडिया की स्टैंडिंग है, इंडिया में स्टेट वाइज क्या स्टैंडिंग है, और हम इंडस्ट्री में क्या कर सकते हैं. जब आपने ये पूरा दिया, and from very manufacturing industry, I think this was so much insight. And like I said, I also told Dr. Sabata, I'll also tell you, I have so many questions coming up for you. I think there are already questions which have started coming up since we had to log, and I'm very grateful to you to not have very informative session. We'll now go on to Piyush, a very brief introduction. I will quickly also admit people who are coming in. A small apologies for the small hitch which happened in between, and I will now invite Piyush, Mr. Piyush Ahuja. Hello, Piyush. I would definitely take this opportunity also to say that when we were thinking of what and how to kind of think of a topic to work on Kudaj, I think discussion with Piyush was the first insight, because during one of my discussions with Piyush, he was the thought process behind ESG as a topic that I wanted to. So I thank you for that, Piyush. And Piyush Ahuja is the co-founder and CEO of Leadership Are Us, which provides human capital management consulting, executive search leadership, soft skills training, executive coaching. The organization provides strategic insights for organization to attract, develop, and retain talented employees for getting a competitive edge through some of very next level best practices of employee experience engagement, work culture, and compelling value propositions. Leadership Are Us also provides ESG consulting to leading organizations for the next generation of employees that are passionate about sustainability. Piyush has led diverse teams across 3 continents in implementing global talent strategies for 23 countries. We welcome you, Piyush, and over to you for your topic on HR's role in implementing ESG. Thank you so much.
Hi, Piyush. Before starting, just a warning. Since this was the sound thing, it was some of the scammers which entered into our meeting. We tried to remove it. I hope they won't enter it. But
you've gone on mute, Didi.
from the chat room and let Nupur handle the questions once Piyush is done.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
I made you the co-host, Piyush, so you can have the presentation.
Yeah, I know. I saw that.
Thank you so much, Nupur, for the introduction, and thank you everyone for this opportunity for me to share my perspective on what is the role of human resources in ESG. I must also express my sincere gratitude to Dr. Jagdish and Dr. Sabata. They have a wealth of knowledge about ESG, and it's always a pleasure to listen to them and learn from them. With that, let me take this opportunity to share about what I have put together for HR's role in environment, social, and governance. So let's understand that there is a lot of talks going on that traditionally human resources would be considered as something like do the recruitment, hire the people, take care of payroll, just make sure people are paid on time, have a leave policy so that people can be compliant to the labor laws, and some, you can say core HR functions. But HR itself has always tried to be there in the forefront of leading the business, of providing the direction of where it can actually be by making sure that we are able to consider far more strategic things. And that's why you would get to hear a lot of discussion around who should be the owner of ESG at a board level. So there is some discussions going around that. How can human resource effectively report on the social aspects of ESG? Because we will look at some direct correlation that is definitely there. What ESG measures should HR be capturing? And how are others holding leaders accountable for ESG progress? Because we want to know some of the things that are there, that if you're a leader, you're also expected to be accountable for some of the deliverables around ESG. Then let's also understand that how can HR help improve our ESG rating? We all understand that today investors are looking for not just the financial potential, the financial performance of an organization, but they're also looking at their commitment to meeting the ESG requirements as well. Yes, there is a lot of regulatory requirements that are also getting shaped up and are getting implemented in a phased manner. But we must also remember that the investor community is very much in tune with what could be the impact on ESG from an organization perspective. So with that, let's continue the discussion around the various issues that we can talk about. So we know that ESG covers a lot of diverse issues, and Dr. Jagdish did mention about this in his presentation. So what I wanted to do was, I wanted to bring out something wherein, where is it that HR has a direct responsibility, which I've highlighted in orange text, and I'll share that with you shortly in the next animation. But there are certain instances where HR is representing the employees as well, because they're passionate about those topics and they feel that the best representative for some of the, you can say, emotions related to some of these aspects are represented by HR. So when we look at the social piece, we are talking about things like diversity, equity, and inclusion. We are talking about fair pay, which is making sure that there's no disparity in pay just because of gender. There's workplace safety, there's employee well-being, and talent development are some of these social aspects which are human resources direct responsibilities. In the social issues, there is definitely a very strong representation which is there, which is about women's empowerment. Although we are saying that this is all about ESG, but I think that this is a very matured and a knowledgeable audience which completely understands that women empowerment, the journey has been truly, I would say, long, but definitely satisfying to the fact that there is a lot of awareness about it. There's a lot of stuff which is happening. I'm sure there's scope for more as well. But HR has a responsibility for making sure that there is women empowerment as well. When we look at the second dimension, which is the environment, which we believe that, yes, maybe human resources doesn't have a direct responsibility for some of the environmental issues, but there is a lot of representation from employees because they feel in their heart about the environment that they live in. And just like what Dr. Sabata mentioned at the opening of this session, that we have to understand that we as human beings are truly passionate. We don't want a polluted environment. We definitely want to control the carbon emissions. We want us to live in a clean air. We want we want our next generation of our children to live in a clean air. We provide them ideas around renewable energy. And that's why we feel that there is a lot of representation which is from employees, which continuously keeps bubbling up to HR and saying that let's make sure that let's try and control the carbon emissions. Let's try and provide a clean air. Let's try and use renewable energy to the extent possible and so on. That doesn't mean that what you see in regular black font text, HR cannot definitely take the representation. I just thought that these are something which keep coming up. And because we know that the world is concentrated around cities, that's why we find that most of the people who are in the organized sector and are working in an organization where HR has its presence, they can definitely contribute by making sure that they understand the underlying passion around all of the environment issues as well. The next aspect that I thought that we could talk about was the governance. Again, these are illustrative. This is not supposed to be an exhaustive list of issues that would come under environment, social, and governance. Under the governance, we believe that HR can definitely take full responsibility for the advocacy and public policy because we have to make sure that we understand that as an organization, we have a responsibility not only to our three key constituents, which is the shareholders, the employees, and customers, but let's also understand that we have a responsibility to the society that we live in, where we operate in, where we run the business. And that's why we have to understand that HR has to take that responsibility to make sure that the advocacy and public policy is eventually helping it achieve the governance aspects as well. It is making sure that we continue to do business responsibly. HR also has to take direct responsibility for business ethics and integrity. It's all about the work culture that it wants to foster, that there is uncompromising commitment to the business ethics and integrity, because that's one of the challenges that most of the businesses would be confronted with, that should we be pursuing profits or should we be pursuing the business ethics and integrity? Let's also understand that human resource is the key driver or the key, you can say, critical decision maker when it comes to executive compensation. And when we look at executive compensation, there has been a lot of discussion around that. Is it fair? What is the parity that we can have with regards to the top executives vis-a-vis, let's say, a frontline person as well? To bridge that as well, what is it that HR can do with regards to the executive compensation without demotivating the intellectual ability of some of the leaders who are driving the organization forward and could be responsible for making sure that the organization kind of covers most of the important aspects around achieving and exceeding the ESG goals. So, having said that, let's move further and let's talk about that. It's great to know, Piyush, that you've explained about some of the stuff which is there where HR has a direct responsibility or HR has some representation and they're passionately pursuing some of those issues as well. But why should we even do all of this? And that's why I think let's be clear that there are benefits of defining our role in HR for ESG. So, for this purpose, let's understand that human resource is one such thread which connects all of the, you can say, pearls of the organization. So, to make a beautiful necklace, you've got to understand that HR has a very big role because the cross-functional nature of ESG activities allows HR leaders to build credibility and expertise across a range of topics. They can actually bring together a cross-functional project team. They can actually make them work towards something which is extraordinarily targeted towards this new aspect of ESG, which was probably, I would believe, now maturing. I won't say that it's at a very nascent or an unknown state, because we are all now getting more and more knowledge about ESG as well, and we're wanting that we will be embracing this. And while the regulators are also now stipulating that you have to do disclosures depending upon which country you're in, which continent you're in, there are disclosures also which are coming up. Let's also understand that participation in ESG programming increases the visibility of the HR function throughout the organization. And that was my point when I started my discussion at the beginning as well, that moving away from something which was just the traditional activities that were allocated to human resources, today human resources can be playing a very strategic role. And that's where it brings that visibility and, not just a seat on the table where you would be having a discussion with the leadership team, but also with the board members on what is it that is critical for the organization to achieve. A clear role mitigates duplication of efforts and increases efficiency and effectiveness of ESG activities. Because if we're talking about everything to do with governance as well, let's make sure that we don't have duplication of efforts anywhere in any pocket. And last but not the least, it's about attracting employees as well, because nowadays the next generation of employees, Gen Alpha is what you call them, or Gen Z, who are already there, they all are passionate about what is happening in the environment and how can organizations be held responsible and take responsibility for all of the stuff that can help improve the work for that organization. So that's what I had as a very brief presentation. We are all here to be looking forward to partnering with you on this exciting ESG journey. I think we will definitely turn this back over to Nupur for her to, I think, moderate the Q&A. Over to you, Nupur.
Thank you so much, Piyush. I think the questions and the comments are pouring in, and I don't need to really say anything about how effective, how impressive all the panelists have been. Very enriching. ESG knowledge is most important. Never realized there is so much more to know. Many thanks to all the panelists. I'm learning a lot. I thought ESG is just another project like CSR. Now I see there is much more to it. The comments are just something that we are so grateful for, because it is exactly what I was and we at Kudaj were trying to achieve in terms of creating that awareness. And I cannot thank all panelists more in terms of saying that, yes, this is this has been really enlightening, and your submission on role of HR in ESG and explaining ESG so beautifully has been really, really insightful, Piyush. Thank you so much. I will now quickly go back and start with my sharing my screen once again. Just to say, sorry. So we'll now open it for the question answer session, and I already have a couple of questions that I have, but we first would like to take the question that is already here, somebody has asked, how as an hotel management institute culinary student will be able to work on sustainability and reducing carbon footprint was one of a question that Avijit Ray had. Anyhow, I'll open this up and one of the panelists can take this up.
So let me take a stab at this, Nupur. If I understand the question correctly, even though I'm a student right now and I'm pursuing a course in culinary arts, and I believe that what is it that I can do from an environment perspective for contributing to ESG? So very, very nice question. I think all of us, let's look at ways of how we can definitely look at all of the aspects that go into, let's say today, for the culinary business. You're talking about a restaurant. Like in a restaurant as well, you would have certain processes where you would be using obviously water. You would be making sure that you are using energy for running a lot of your equipments. How can you make sure that you are continually looking at ways of on optimizing your water usage, on looking at ways that how can you reduce the energy consumption but still be able to serve delicious food, great food, continue to meet the requirements of your business with regards to having loyal customers who are repeatedly coming to your restaurant. So as a culinary expert, you would always be required to think innovatively on what is it that has been done so far to be able to meet the requirements of the environment, right? So you have to continually think and look at reducing water usage, reducing waste, maybe thinking about renewable energy. Maybe you're not able to do it immediately, but you'll have to think that what is it that we can do with regards to renewable energy. In fact, if I can just say that if we go back to maybe a few centuries old, maybe India was more rural and we would have a far more rural setup wherein everything was such a way that you could see a full life cycle, that you could see that the food that we would eat is given to us as fresh, it's local, it's seasonal, and it suits everybody's metabolism as well. And we are involved in what we call as today organic farming. But earlier, the farming was more about just making sure that the farming is done in such a way that we're able to, we don't need too much of chemicals, etc., but we need more of what suits a certain environment. And that's where I think your focus as a culinary expert to go for something which is less harmful to the environment, but your preference is that, I think in a subtle way or in a passive way, you can contribute towards the environment.
Just one more, Avijit is a mentor and an assistant professor, and he is also asking from the perspective of how he can also guide his students from waste management. So that is also his perspective that he is coming in.
Right.
Another question, yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead. No, I'm not, sorry.
I could not unmute at this point of time, Manupurji. Just to add, very specific to whatever Mr. Piyush talked about, very nicely talked about what can be done in the hospital industry. So my suggestion would be like we can look at what are the inputs that comes in. Like one was energy, what we were talking, usage of water, usage of then the output is what providing the services. Keeping that in mind, we need to look at as the environmental parameters, what are the like wastages and the water consumption, what Mr. Piyush was talking, we can look into that. Social aspect, again, we should look at what can be done in terms of local, hiring local people, bringing diverse people across the globe, if it is, that's another option. Then bringing in gender equality, bringing in the structured pay systems. Those are all social issues. Similarly, governance issues is bringing in board with diverse people with different competency, so that as an industry we can grow and meet the community expectations. So that way, for any kind of industry, we can always look at what are the inputs and what is that output that comes out, and see how we can manage the inputs in terms of environment, social, as well as governance perspective. That way, if you can analyze, then you will be clear what is that we need to do, in each of the different types of industries. I hope the point is clear. Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
There is a question from Kavita which talks about how can business reduce their carbon footing. I'm taking example of service industry like Zomato and Swiggy.
See, using of electrical vehicles by Zomato or Swiggy can be a major they use, and if they're all used based on petrol, and you can look at what could be the emissions that are possible. That's one way. So even in service industries, there are again, as I told you, we need to look at the inputs, what comes in, and then what is the output. Here, the output is a service, whereas the input is what we use vehicles there, we use food there, or we are looking at as a business, then it works differently. Now there as well, now the wastages can be minimized, and in case the wastage happen, how do we handle it and how do we dispose that? Is again what we need to focus on, and build a kind of operating procedures across the organization, so that we can work in an environmental and socially and with governance structures. Yeah, Piyush would like to add. You started something.
So my thought is that when we're looking at the service industry, I think what we need to understand is that what you rightly mentioned, Dr. Jagdish, is that where are the opportunities where we can transition over to something which is going to be doing less carbon emissions, it's going to provide clean air. So to your example, yes, electric vehicles are a great substitute for, let's say, the delivery companies like Zomato and Swiggy. And there is a lot of social work that they can contribute to. For example, we can all agree that still there is a challenge around food wastage, right? Why can't we make sure that people who come onto the app are requested to understand that please order that much, which you are eventually going to consume. And if you're not going to consume, how can we make sure that we share it with maybe those underprivileged people so that we reduce the food wastage? So there is awareness being created through the same, let's say, platforms around some of the aspects which are not, again, directly addressed through the company, which is into a service, and they can actually bring in what is it that they are doing with regards to some of the aspects which are indirectly possible for them to address for environment, social, or governance.
Dr. Sabata, there is a question from you from Yusuf Ji. I don't, yeah.
Yes.
Yusuf Ji, I don't, where he, the question, the question, I had a question from you as well, because आपने बात की थी कि पहले हम लोग sustainability की report पे बात करते थे, बाद में हम लोग EC report मांगते थे, लेकिन implementation में issue था. ऐसा क्या होता था जिससे हम लोग conversion की बात करते थे, and there is a concept of greenwashing. How do you differentiate between कि हाँ ये actually काम हुआ है या फिर ये सिर्फ greenwashing है, मतलब दिखावा है? ये चेंज आपको कैसे नजर आता था ग्राउंड में जिसकी हम बात करते हैं?
नहीं, आप देखिए, whatever people are industry, they apply for the EC, the environment clearance के लिए, there is a big things are there. There are so many processes are there. There is so many reports are there. But there was no system to monitor their requirements. So that was the problem. But now government has made mandatory. Every year they have to put 6 months monitoring report. What they said before getting to the EC, and after getting the EC, now there is a mandatory to have a compliance report for the things. I hope things are now changing. But earlier when we go to inspect the industries, I think what they report, I think that in the ground that was not there. So that was the major factor. And people have to be very generous. Like the food wastage you talk about, how many wastage you are seeing in a wedding party? Nobody is concerned about that. We earlier proposed to big 5-star hotels, all your wastage you can make a OWC, the organic waste converter, and make a composting. I think the institutions where these culinary people are there, they don't have a OWC. People are not ready to waste money, spend money for the environmental activity. They are thinking it is a wastage. I think we have to change our mindset to some little investment for the environment should be there for both the sides.
That's very insightful. Yusufji, you have your question. You can please ask your question now.
Yes. Thank you so much, Nupur, for that. And thank you so much, Dr. Sabata, Dr. Jagdish, and Piyush for your inputs and insights. Wonderful to be a part of this session. So my question to Dr. Sabata is that now a lot of people were apprehensive, but now full-fledged across cities in India, people are investing in buying EV vehicles. Now, the question is that how do you dispose? What's the plan for disposal of these EV batteries, which could be very, very hazardous for both environment as well as human life?
I think there is a battery rule is there. Whatever battery they are producing, that is they have to take back. The people, those are selling the battery, they are taking back and the recycle. That was as per the rule. And as per the rule, you can't throw the batteries anywhere and any place. I think they have to be recyclable, and where the people purchase, they should tell that my old battery you have to take. There is a EPR activities, how they're taking back. I think these are many people does not know, but there is a EPR rule is there. But the extended producer responsibility. Those companies produce the battery, they have to take back the old one. I think that was the arrangement now there, man.
Yeah, Miss, just to add on, Yusufji, recycle is only the solution there, which the companies will do. So probably we need to collect, we need to create centers for collecting the batteries, used batteries. That's also plans from the government, where there will be centers created to collect the used batteries.
Yes, sir, that was there. Their designated places has been there in Delhi particularly. They can collect and they can recycle that also.
There was a question about how can startups and agriculture, people or in fields implement or organization implement ESGs, and what is the impact of ESG on agriculture? So this is also something that I'm slightly, this one question, which is one of the questions which is there. Startups, NGOs, and agriculture. I know these are 3 different things, but I want to ask this to the panel as well. कि वो क्या कर सकते हैं ESG जैसे एक बड़े मुद्दे को अपने normally सोचा जाता है कि it's for the big companies.
So I can take the startup question. I think when it comes to startups, let's understand that if as a startup at the beginning itself, I have made sure that my services or my products are going to be embracing some of the important aspects of ESG, you could be actually more easily accessing funding from potential investors who would give you a preference purely because you have not only, let's say, a great business idea, which is definitely required. We're not saying that you would compromise on the viability of your product or service, the financial profitability, etc. That would be required. But what's also important for us to understand is that we will also be required to make sure that we do have some of the ESG principles that we follow, which will give us a distinct advantage because the investors are definitely looking for startups where they can invest who are committed to ESG. So there is a silver lining for all of the extra effort that you would put in to make sure with a new vigor, new thought process of how you would make sure that you have something as a new product or a service fulfilling the requirements of your customer. But here you also have an opportunity to make sure that you're able to have an access to funding. In fact, most of the, you can say, developed economies today, if they want to invest, they would probably look for projects where the promoters are aligned to the benefits of ESG, and they would want to ask you about what is your plan for ESG. So don't get stumped, don't get a blank face, but rather say, yes, we're aware about ESG. And as a startup, we're definitely wanting to make sure that we contribute. I would let others also contribute. Thank you.
Yeah, if I have to share about this agriculture, I think Nupurji was talking about ESG for agriculture. In agriculture, primary inputs could be on one is water and land, right? But now, so what are the kind of water management strategies that can be adopted there, as well as the land, ensuring that it's like today what we talk about organic farming is something where we are ensuring that the land, the fertility of land is not destroyed by use of chemicals or whatever. That best practices can be brought in there in agricultural industry, in agriculture activities. That is with respect to the environment per se. Similarly, now when we talk about social, is good labor practices where in terms of the employment as well as deployment as well as salary what we are paying. That could be social aspects. Governing aspect could be building in the practices in line with what regulatory requirements are, complying to regulatory requirements. So there could be something which we can bring in under the governance factor. So that way, in any industry, you start trying to identify various environmental, social, as well as governing factors, and bringing in those things in a day-to-day life will definitely is something which you can contribute, and it can be quantified, and we can also get in a lot of investment. But I'm sure, next over after 2026, the agriculture industry will be in major demand because of the compliance requirements of ESG. So planting trees, etc. But then how much saving could happen, that is different. But then definitely demand is going to increase, considering that from 2026, for all the exporters of major certain 6 sectors, it's mandatory to give a carbon credit or carbon footprint data. So that point of time, once these are all consolidated, we start looking at mitigation plans. At that point of time, agriculture could be one of the plans to reduce to get the carbon credit as well. So there is a huge boom that is expected in next under 2-3 years down the line now. Yeah.
I think the Central Pollution Control Board has initiated the scheme of agriculture and pollution. Say maybe they can refer to the CPCB website. There is a guideline for the agriculture sector on how the regulatory methods to be adopted.
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much, sirs. Two last questions I would like to ask. One is around school students. What initiatives can be done? And Dr. Sabata, if you can take it up, about what school students can do in terms of what can principals can do for schools for raising awareness for environment. What kind of initiatives?
I think schools can take a lot of initiative. One is that first thing is they have to declare their school is a zero waste school. Any plastic, anything we initiated in Delhi schools also. So that is one thing they can do. They can do a small nursery of medicinal plants at their school level, so that students can know what is the plant. There are the students, they can write a very well essay in mango plant. But how many students have seen the mango plant? That is now a problem, because the students are not taking to the plant. They could not even recognize small plants. Coconut tree also some students they do coconut tree. I think they should have a small nursery in the schools. Then they should have a monitor of the watering taps, because the schools have large number of taps, toilets, many wastage are there. One group of students can be a water vigilant, one student can be a waste vigilant, and even their kitchen, the canteen, there are a lot of waste generated in schools. So I think these small activities the students can vigil, and that can reflect in their working life when they go back to their work life, or maybe when they become engineers to the doctors. I think their footprint will be there, that I have seen in my school. A lot of examples are there. So I think the schools can take a lot of initiative, and there is eco club activities is already well planned by the government of India as well as government of Delhi. They can refer to that also.
I have another question. Actually, we have a lot of questions, but we do not have the time. We are kind of short on time. What we'll try doing right now is we'll take all these questions and we'll go back to our panelists and we'll try and get answers to all of them. If you have not answered your questions in this, you can leave your name and number and we'll come back to you with the answers. And also just leave your name and number and we'll send you a feedback form so that we also get your insights about how you felt your webinar was, and your questions also we'll add as part of it so that we can come back to you with the answers. A very quick question, last question that I'm taking up is, sometimes there are, and this is one of the questions which was asked, which is sometimes there are industries which hold a lot of promise, highest job offering, and yet they are not high on carbon footprint. What do you think? How can they balance the? What do you think they can do to balance? Because they are offering jobs, but yet they're not high on. This question was, I think, from.
Right.
Yes.
So I think we can relate this to the executive compensation. And we are increasingly saying that human resources is trying to drive the responsibility amongst the leaders for the contribution to ESG. And they want to foster a culture of fair pay. So pay, which is according to the skills and the performance which is there. And we feel that, yes, because the world is waking up to the new norm where we will be having an opportunity to make sure that you are paid fairly, there is something which is around the executive compensation, which is justified according to one's intellectual strength and the ability to be able to drive the ESG agenda. I think that's what will definitely determine what is going to be happening. So it's not, in fact, all of these aspects can become an important point of discussion for potential and existing investors, even shareholders of the organization, where they would want to see that what is the organization doing with regards to making sure that we are able to pay fairly, but also keep some of the executives motivated to achieve not only the financial results, but also the ESG outcomes are also achieved. That's a brief answer to this question. Happy to answer any more in more detail. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would now go to the final closing remarks. Invite Piyush, Dr. Jagdish, and Dr. Sabata for the final. I would start probably with Piyush first now, as to what do you think about how do you think we should be addressing this issue of ESG and environmental sustainability.
Right. I think we all, as human beings, have a big responsibility for whatever duration that we have been allocated on this planet. Let's target to achieve what we see on the screen, or green, green grass, blue sky. That's what I think aspirationally we should do. We should put in the best of our efforts that we are trying to contribute individually, in our families, in our society. And that's what will make this world a great place to work. We all have a responsibility, and we also have a responsibility for the organizations that we run. And that will make sure that we can achieve the ESG goals. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Piyush. Dr. Jagdish.
Yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity. I think the first step for any of the activity is awareness. Today, being aware of what the ESG is all about, you can further deep dive and see to know more. I'm sure today Google can give you a lot of input as well. Now, the next step is we need to decide upon what are the simple, maybe 5 things I can do from today after this session. What is that 5 things I can do from today, which will be ESG compliance. Like for example, not taking our own vehicles, to nearby places. Maybe we can walk down, not carrying our own bags instead of bags, purchasing the bags there in the shopping centers, or maybe planting one tree, planting a tree, near a place, or we are talking about usage of renewable the solar equipments. So we should probably, my suggestion would be list 5 things what you think you can do and start working from there. I'm sure now that the journey begins from that point of time. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Jagdish. And Dr. Sabata?
I think I agree with Dr. Jagdish. I think people should behave eco-friendly and do something, whatever they can do at your home, their workplace, even neighborhood. We are walking in the park, it's a morning walk, but nobody pick up a plastic there. I think you should do small activities to achieve our environment sustainability. Our role is very much there. We should not finger to others that they will do, government will do. That we should not wait. We should do ourselves and behave as an eco-friendly manner. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Definitely a call to action definitely is there. And based on some things that we can ask is, whenever you're going out there, do some research, buy from companies have sustainable practices and do not harm environment. This is something that we can do at our end. Find your own carbon footprint. There are carbon footprint calculators. So if I calculate my carbon footprint, I will be able to know what difference am I making in and how can I change myself. So this is a very important indicator. And finally, attend sessions like this, be more informed, and also follow our page. This is a Kotesh page on Facebook. Please follow it. You can scan the QR code right now. We come up with more such sessions. There are more sessions on carbon footprint which have been asked for. We'll be happy to come up with it. The next sessions that is being planned is around Climate Change Day, which is in October. So that is something that we'll be planning a webinar on. So definitely, but then more such sessions, more such articles, more such events are in pipeline. Do follow us and do get work with us to know more about how we are working on this initiative. Thank you so much, all panelists, Piyush, Dr. Jagdish, Dr. Sabata. It has been a truly insightful work session for me personally, and I can definitely share therefore it is equally, here I am just going to read that there are so good initiative. Congratulations. There are so many comments coming up. People have simply learned a lot about just attending this session. I know I have. And I would also
Thank
like
you,
to
Nupur and you, Aparna, for organizing this session, and hopefully this you can brought out a booklet type, that would be better in this.
We are planning. We'll also be releasing this on our YouTube channel. We'll be sharing. There is a WhatsApp group, and if people are interested, they can leave their numbers right now on our chat. We'll be inviting them.
I'll share the WhatsApp link on the
chat. Yes. So if people want to join immediately, they can join. So what happens is after this, they'll be given a feedback form as well as a question form, which they can ask in that feedback form. If they have more questions, we'll be happy to share it with our panelists so that they can share. At the same time, they can also have this entire program will be available on our YouTube channel. We can share the link. We'll also be informing them about our upcoming. In future, we also plan to come up with a newsletter on environment, and it'll be great if all of us can be a part of it. Thank you so much once again, Dr. Sabata, Dr. Jagdish, Piyush, and Dr. Aparna for, on behalf of Trust, for organizing this event and for enriching so many of us with this great information setup. Thank you so much. Dr. Aparna has shared the chat group link. Please, I would request everyone to join in and share this. So thank you so much, everyone.